record to the cloud. We'll see how that goes. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome. My name is Autumm Caines, and welcome to OLC Live. I'm here with Laura Gogia of iDesign to talk about boundary spanning teams across global collaborations. And I apologize, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. I was caught off guard a little bit, but I'm hoping that this is recording, and I'm hoping that that this is going to be a good conversation, because I always have good conversations with you.
Well, I always love speaking with you, Autumn, and thank you very much for having me today.
Thanks for being here. So I just attended your session, boundary spanning, help me out with the title again.
Creative collaboration, creating systems change through boundary spanning teams.
Yeah.
And I co-presented with one of my other colleagues from iDesign, Mary Helen Culbertson, and a colleague from Mayo Clinic, Victoria Stafer, who's actually here in the room to answer questions. She just doesn't want to be on camera right now.
And of course, we respect that as well.
Yes.
She's put up a boundary, right? That was one of the first things I asked you before the session even began. Is, are we talking about respecting boundaries or crossing boundaries, or both? And you said both. And I really love that, because I do think that we have a need for boundaries. But at the same time, especially in our field, sometimes people like to talk about breaking boundaries because it sounds so, I don't know, it sounds very exciting.
Right, and I think it's because it sounds very exciting, but not only that, you know, we tend to focus on what we don't have. So in the field of open ed, we tend to think of things in terms of silos and having boundaries, particularly around intellectual property, or, you know, ownership over knowledge. And so we tend to go in one direction of wanting to break boundaries. But if you step back and look at boundaries from multiple perspectives, there's definitely a place for maintaining boundaries while also breaking boundaries. And you need to think about it from both perspectives.
And I felt like your presentation really started to do that. It started to give some definition to that. And it was really interesting to me, because it felt like it was giving articulation to something I kind of intrinsically sort of knew just from working, you know, with diverse teams. So I remember that you had some of the definitions when you were defining them, like geography was one. What, can you run us through that?
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say what you were saying in terms of giving definition to things that we kind of instinctively know anyway, that really resonates with me. And it's something that Victoria and I were talking about yesterday when we were running through the presentation for the last time. Is, you know, a lot of what we were talking about is just common sense. But what we were doing was trying to give names, vocabulary, strategies, so that as we are in these common sense situations and we see things arise, we can name it in a way that makes it public, in a way that you can share with other people on the team, and then start to work through things. So yeah, I just wanted to say,
so it wasn't unique.
It's not
in
new.
that.
It is actually a strategy.
Yeah.
And dealing with things like, you know, self-reflection and things like, you know, social collaboration. It's important to have vocabulary words as tools in order to talk to people and to move forward and to identify what's going on, either right or wrong, and then work towards a shared solution. So yeah, that totally resonated with me. Now back to your question, which is different boundary types. And, you know, obviously there's room for creating different sort of categories. But generally speaking, in the literature, you tend to see 5. The first one is vertical, in terms of, you know, boundaries in terms of power, your traditional org chart sort of vertical power. Then you have horizontal, which goes across your peers, cross functions, you know, horizontally, like cross-functional teams, for example, are typically an example of great, like, horizontal boundaries. The next one is geography is one, particularly important in virtual teams, dealing with time zones, things like that. I'm trying to think of the other two. They're escaping me right now. Demographic.
Demographic, yeah.
So things like culture, gender, nationality. You know, again, depending on your context, you may think that this relates to you or not. But culture is not just like big, like culture, regional culture, geography culture. It's also organizational culture as well.
Yeah.
And I'm totally missing the next one. Oh, Victoria's
Stakeholder.
whispering it to me. Stakeholder, which is an awesome, it's an important boundary to identify, particularly with like inter-organizational teams. Because we have different stakeholders, we have different goals, and all of those need to be negotiated.
And that's what you guys are doing with the Mayo Clinic, right?
Mm-hmm. So basically, the story that we were telling in our session is Mayo Clinic is doing something that's extremely exciting and groundbreaking, this idea of having a multi-campus medical school, a national medical school. So we all know the famous Mayo Clinic Medical School in Rochester, Minnesota, but there are other campuses of Mayo Clinic, and there is now a second cohort of medical students down in Arizona. And so as part of this multi-campus medical school, there was a need to have a clear and cohesive curriculum and instruction and assessment, you know, all those things that we think about in terms of accreditation and just like good practice. And so as part of how are we going to make that happen, there was that desire to leverage the learning management system that Mayo Clinic has, and course development around that. And of course, Mayo Clinic has an amazing instructional design team called D2. They do great work, but they actually made a really smart, I love it when people do really awesome things. Instead of keeping it all inside, they were like, you know, what we're doing is extremely innovative. It's new. Let's do the best thing that we can do, which means stepping out of oneself and getting outside perspective and actually reaching out and doing some boundary spanning.
Enter iDesign.
Enter iDesign. So Mayo partnered with iDesign, which is the company that I work for, and we do instructional design. We work very closely with faculty, but also with inside instructional design teams. And so we have been working with Mayo as far as helping with course development for year 1 and year 2 medical classes at the Arizona campus.
But across all kinds of geographic, demographic,
all the boundaries.
We hit
all the boundaries because, of course, within Mayo, there's a lot of the boundary spanning in terms of interdepartmental collaboration. But then you throw iDesign in there, and so you have multiple stakeholders. You know, our team, iDesign, is essentially a virtual company. Our teams are virtual. So, you know, I'm working with an IT who lives in Norway. And if you look at the team of people who are working on these classes, we're literally hitting all of the time zones within the US. And then we have our international partner, IT, out in Norway. Exactly. And it's amazing how important time zones are for communication, but also just getting work done. And I actually enjoy, I'm on the East Coast, I actually enjoy having a IT in Norway. I tell this story to people all the time because they don't get it until I explain it. It's like, no, really, I finish up work at a normal working hour, 5 or 6. You know, I set my plan as far as the design for my IT. My IT is 6 hours ahead of me. So she's getting up, she's starting on the plan that I've set for the day while I'm sleeping. Then I get up early in the morning because I'm just early bird anyway, and she's already halfway through my plan for the day, so I can go back, look at what she's done, ask her questions, adjust things, and we'll work closely together for those first 3 or 4 hours of the day. And then she quits, and then I focus on the next. And so you could see how that process, that we've actually managed to make the time zones work for us. But it took a while to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, it takes a little while to figure out and juggle.
And it now has come down to the point is when I add people to my team, one of the first questions I ask before I interview them is like, what time zone is that person in? Because it's going to impact my workflow and how we communicate with each other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So the idea of boundary spanning being a field of study is new to me. Even if I just wanted to put some stuff into Google to find more, what would I search for?
You could literally search boundary spanning and it would pop up. A lot of this is in the business management literature.
Okay.
And that's where you'll find it. And unfortunately, sometimes that literature can be kind of thick to read.
Yeah.
So where you can step away from the literature, you can read the literature, there's articles. I would just keyword boundary spanning, teams, obstacles with boundary spanning, those like keywords, whatever you're looking for in terms of boundary spanning, strategies, tools, tactics. But if you step out of the Google Scholar and go to straight up Google and start looking at things that nonprofit organizations are doing, the council, and I believe it's council, it may be center, but the Council for Creative Leadership has done a lot of work around boundary spanning teams. A book has been written, but they have a white paper out, which is, it's open. So if you Google boundary spanning and Center for Creative Leadership, it would pop up, and it's a really, really useful white paper. And they've written just articles that are open and things that are a little bit more accessible than the business management literature.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. Well, I want to thank you so much for sitting down to talk with me. We actually have another session back to back with this one, so I'm going to transition out and let you go to lunch.
Great.
And it's really funny because the next one is actually the diversity committee, and I feel like those guys will probably have a lot to say about crossing boundaries and respecting boundaries and all of that too. So,
absolutely. I look forward to hearing what they say.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It was really nice to see you, Autumn.
All right. And I'll just shut everything down here. It does look like we have Sea Green. Oh, somebody did come in. Is that person there? Is that person paying attention?
Hello? Sea Green.
Oh, there's Michael Berman.
Hello.
Starting up.
How you doing?
Hey, Michael, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. Everybody having fun?
I love your Instagram account.
Oh, thank you.
It makes me happy. I just wanted to let you know. I think sometimes, we're all on Instagram and we're not really sure who's lurking on our pages. I mean, on Twitter, we just talk to each other. But Instagram, you never really know who's looking. But I just wanted to let you know I really appreciate your Instagram account.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you. Appreciate it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and I love your sessions when you give sessions on like presentations in, like how to do your slides. I forget.
Oh yeah, the presentations and stuff he does is really wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah. I enjoy your work.
Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. You have a good day.
Bye.
I'm going to mute us just for a second so I can say goodbye to these guys, and I'll be right back. Hey, Michael? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sounds fine.
So I just realized I actually have a little more time than I thought. Oh.
Who was that who said she liked my Instagram account?
That was Laura Gogia.
Oh, gosh, she looks so different.
Yeah, she's great. I love Laura Gogia.
She changed her look.
She changed her look a little bit. She cut her hair. It was really funny. We were talking about how she cut her hair and I let my hair grow out.
Yeah. I noticed Jess's hair looked a little longer too.
Okay. Just so you know, we are being recorded right now, even though it
So
feels
let's discuss something other than women's hair. That's what we tried to do.
But what I was going to say, I'm a little hesitant, but I showed up for this session, and yesterday there was like tons of people here, and there was like technical help on staff, and now I show up today and like nobody's here and I'm all by myself. And so I'm a little bit afraid to stop the recording and restart it. I think when you stop the recording, it boots people out.
Uh-huh.
And then they have to rejoin.
I saw that yesterday. Yeah, I think
I remember Calvin talking about that.
I'm the only one in, so why don't you go ahead and do it, and then because I can join.
I think I am going to try it. My only fear is that when I do that, I might also have to restart something on my end, and I don't necessarily know how to do that.
Does this officially start at 15 after the hour? When does this session officially start?
I think it actually starts at 1:30.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you just stop it and go away and come back at 1:25 and...
All right. I'm gonna do that.
I'm
gonna stop it, and if it breaks, then I've got like almost a half an hour to try to fix it, and I think I can fix it in a half an hour. So,
okay.
All right, thanks, Michael.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.